Welcome to Bet on People, a podcast where we explore the decisions behind human-centered leadership and why betting on people isn't just good for people, it's smart business. I'm Keegan Evans, executive coach and founder of UTA. My guest today is Abby Queale, the Chief Legal and Compliance Officer at MagCorp, a magnet technology development company she helped build from the ground up as its founding CEO. She's a registered patent attorney who previously served as Director of Innovation at San José State University. There, she led the development of the technology transfer, the industry research alliances, the SpartUp Incubator, and the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center. Abby loves playing and watching sports and is a Disney Parks aficionado who loves helping family and friends plan their trips. Abby, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, likewise. I'm so happy to be here. It's kind of like old times.
It is. We met originally in your work with SpartUp at San Jose State, and I've loved watching where you've gone and where you're growing, and just being able to catch up with you now is wonderful. Before we dive into the topics and the flow, I'd love to just kind of get a grounding on what's your overarching leadership philosophy? What do you think of when you think of leadership? How do you approach it?
If you put people first, the numbers will come. Akin to if you build it, they will come. We're social people, right? We want to interact. I'm actually going to steal a line from my fiance much earlier in the podcast than I thought, but life is not a DIY project.
Yep.
We were actually just at a resort and I just didn't feel like going to the self-checkout because I'm a huge Disney geek, like you said. So I just wanted to go to the counter and talk with a cast member about, Disney, because that's what you go for, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about, these special pins and this and that. And they actually told me, people say that to us over and over and over and over again. Thank you for the job security. Thank you for waiting in line for an extra 5 or 10 minutes and just talking to us. And so if you have people as the face of your company, no matter what level, your customers are probably going to come to you over a machine.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always liked your philosophy at UTA is that AI in particular is a co-pilot, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the face of your company.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not going to be any surprise that we're going to have a great conversation as a result of that, because the people at the center is so core to everything we do. And I especially love how you come to that, because there could be a bias or there could be a stereotype that a lawyer is not necessarily going to think about people first. And so the intersection of your work across law, across entrepreneurship, and across innovation, it really reflects well on there. I'm excited about that. I know I haven't come to my level of my leadership philosophy or my point of view in a straight line. I'd love to hear a time in your career when you perhaps made a decision as a leader that prioritized the business or prioritized or less prioritized people, and what you learned out of that.
Yes, and I actually started my career in technology transfer as
cool.
IP counsel. So although I had, wore a legal hat and, had a stack of agreements I was reviewing, I also had a patent portfolio that I was managing for the university. And, no matter what the size of the university, if you're at a public university in particular, you have to be a good steward of public dollars. And you have a limited budget in which to decide which ideas the university is going to spend the money. And in the case of patents, it could be rather significant to protect it and then market and license it, or, work with an entrepreneur to bring it to market. And of course, they're going to work with something for which there is a market.
Right.
And so not every idea was either patentable or marketable.
Yep.
And so those were strictly business decisions that I was tasked with making. I made them. I would, what we call in the industry, evaluate technologies. But I would work with the innovators.
Yep.
It could be faculty, it could be staff, not necessarily students yet.
Sure.
But that things have changed, as you know, from SpartUp.
Certainly.
You still want to work. I mean, this is still a brilliant person that a top tier university has hired.
Yeah.
And they've probably already published too by the time they've, interacted with you in what's called the technology transfer office.
Yep.
So think of Gatorade that comes out of the University of Florida.
Right.
And so this is someone's life's work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be taken as, oh gosh, this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Or something's wrong. Or I just, I don't have time for this activity. I got into this, field to just share the knowledge. But you want to establish the rapport and the relationship, kind of like going to Disney. I want to geek out. I love science. And so
Yeah.
I would build a relationship with the innovators based on that. And I even had that experience actually in grad school at UF where my faculty advisor disclosed an idea to the tech transfer office. And all of a sudden, I'm actually even more excited than before
Yep.
because these suits and ties are coming in. I've never heard of a tech transfer office, and I even went to school here, and
Yeah.
I drink Gatorade, right? And you get extra excited, so they're even built up even higher, and then you've got to bring them down.
Yep.
You could potentially bring them down even more. But if you're
Yeah.
geeking out and you're not the scientist, you're not the expert,
Yeah.
but you are just using your scientific brain, that I
Mhm.
think is the connection that I was able to, have success with,
Yep.
because you don't wanna tell someone, "Well, this is great for research, but there's no market for it, or there won't be for maybe 30 years in which a patent's expired, and we're not gonna stop you from publishing, right? So just go ahead and publish." But,
Right.
you know, I studied material science and engineering, so if a biophysicist at the medical school,
Mhm.
and I used to be so intimidated, "Okay, this is a secret, don't tell anyone," by, MDs, because I'm like, "I don't really know that much." And then I quickly learned, okay, biophysics is physics, biochemistry is chemistry, and I
Right.
know both of those enough to be dangerous. And, okay, so you can remove toxins from a bloodstream. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Someone else is already doing it in the market, or this patent isn't quite different enough that we're gonna spend the money going back and forth with a patent examiner.
Mhm.
You know, when I was in, grad school, I was studying, removing certain materials from waste streams. Maybe it's a different way of sourcing rare earths. That's a big one, right?
Yep.
And then you see the light bulb go off. I'm not being condescending to them. I'm just excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know about this field. Could that apply here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then we've got some.
Gotcha.
And the relationship is the most important because technology transfer, especially in universities, without getting too niche, there's other priorities. Teaching number one,
Yep.
scholarly work, publishing number two. But at the end of the day, I mean, almost every innovator will tell me, tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, my mother passed of this rare disease. This is why I got
Mhm.
into this research. I mean, their passion's already there.
Yep.
And so as long as you just, you know, keep that at the forefront, if their idea applies to other things, they're happy.
Yeah.
And if it's something where they can build, their research portfolio even more because maybe some royalties are coming in, that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah. Were there any points maybe early on in that role where you got it wrong a little bit and didn't have that level of care, and navigated, and of course, for all sorts of reasons, specific names or anything don't need to bring in. Um, but I'd love to kind of hear that kind of where were how did you refine that lesson for yourself? Where did you learn the hard way sometimes?
I actually, this is not a non-answer, I promise. I actually had the opposite problem where I got too excited.
Oh, okay.
And I was a member of the patent bar.
Yeah.
And this was, I think, when I was still in law school because I was interning there first
Yeah.
in the technology transfer office at FSU. And so I knew about, it's called obviousness. I don't want to get too legal, but if you can
Mhm.
show, like if it would have been obvious to someone
Yep.
in the field, but you can show that the results scientifically contradict that completely,
Oh, cool. Yep.
then you're good to go.
Yep.
And this is actually a product that came out of FSU. It spun out. That was I won't call it a cocktail, but it was basically a nutraceutical,
Okay.
and it was existing ingredients that had already shown effect, but this particular combination showed a multiple of the effect more than you would just
Gotcha.
calculate on paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had some resistance internally,
Okay.
and someone did say, "Well, you have an intern that saw something in this. What else can she look at?" And, I think I just went that way ever since, and just
Cool.
I'm not necessarily saying yes all the time.
Mhm.
I'm saying yes, just like an engineer or a lawyer with evidence,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
With calculations, a calculated risk.
Yeah. And so that was a case where you saw something that hadn't been might have been passed over by, and you say you were just an intern at that point?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, this is
yes.
great. We'll make the business focused decision about the people who missed it. So you saw this thing that others had maybe passed on and not seen the passion in. Uh, and the uniqueness, and through that excitement, push it, and then
Mhm,
you recognize
mhm.
that, learning how to look at it.
And we didn't go over the patent budget.
Oh, also important.
See, we've
Yep.
got the budget for it.
And I hope I'm not stealing future future talking points here. I saw this when we worked together at SpartUp. The priority of focusing on the inventor, on the entrepreneur, and are they showing up with a passion? Are they working on something that they care about or not? Was much more of a predictor of success than necessarily some rigorous objective standard. And I saw you embody that in your role at
Oh,
research and innovation. So
thank you.
anything else around that kind of that early experience of the perhaps observing more business than people decisions that comes in, or do you want to talk about another example of something more where explicitly people folks where maybe the business decision was a bad one?
Oh, and it could be, and, when I would meet with investors who wanted to talk specifically about early stage technologies that come out of universities
Hmm.
that are tied to the faculty because they know better than anyone how to practice the invention or create the work or reproduce the results. I did have more than one, so I'm not calling anyone out. I did have a few that said, "I will not work with a faculty inventor. They will not
Mm,
lead the startup. They will not be a part of the startup." And we could debate all day about different roles in a startup, but to not be involved at all, I had to ask, well, why? Did
yeah,
you have a bad experience? Like, what do I need to learn? Maybe you're right.
yeah.
And they said, well, it's that simple. It's almost as simple as one, two, three. They don't know how to pitch.
Mm,
They don't handle rejection very well.
hmm.
And they don't know how to scale something. They're good at starting things
Hmm.
and new ideas and new things, but not scaling it. And I honestly sat there and I'm like, okay, I've been in this long enough, right? I have seen faculty who pitch themselves and their life's work to that point, usually in grad school and through a postdoctoral position, right?
Yeah,
Which now is longer than ever.
yeah.
Pitch their life's work and convince a top tier university to give them $250,000 or even more now startup package for
Hmm.
equipment. They give them space and enough, salaries for some graduate students to start a laboratory, to start an operation,
Hmm.
in the hopes that they will be self-sustaining in give or take 6 years.
Sure.
And 9 out of 10 of those research proposals that those faculty members have written in that time have been rejected.
Yeah,
I promise you, they take it better
yeah.
than you think. And then last they just said, what if I introduced you to, a handful of entrepreneurs that have what are called research centers and institutes
Sure.
that have to work with other departments and serve the public directly, some institutes, providing interventions or services. And they have 80 to 100 employees. And I could just see them go, oh, I had no idea. And
Hmm.
so I had, a sales responsibility
Yeah,
throughout my career, right?
yeah.
I've hardly ever, here, look at US patent number XXXXXY, right? Like, I've never said that. Hey,
Hmm.
come meet this person.
Hmm.
Come to their lab. See the widget itself. And what I'm doing is head fake, right? Meet the person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The person is what sells things. People want to work with people that they like or have that rapport with,
yeah.
whether you like it or not. And it's the same thing with the faculty and telling them no. You don't tell them no. You just say, this is great. How about looking at another market?
Hmm.
Or please publish this one because we probably won't have a market in time
Yeah,
for, the patent. It'll be expired by then.
yeah.
But come back. And my goal was always repeat customers. And even as a leader, if I see repeat customers and I'm getting compliments about, my staff, that is the sign of success. And the numbers reflected that. They
Yeah.
just did.
So when you were faced with investors who, for whatever reasons, had decided they didn't want to work with faculty, they had told stories to themselves about, I'll put a bunch of words in their mouths. These ivory tower academics couldn't
I
handle
hear
it
it
in
all the
the
time.
real world.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, a 9 out of 10 failure rate for a pitch reflects, I'm pretty sure, average VC success rates for
Exactly.
investments.
Good, it hasn't changed because that's exactly what I've always known.
Yeah, I think it's
That's
higher
actually
than
stayed
that.
pretty steady
Yeah.
over the year.
I haven't seen what the flood of money into AI is doing. My gut says it's going to go higher than that.
That I would back that. I would
um,
take that bet.
that's really insightful about finding, and you use the word head fake, which has a certain I pulled the wool over their eyes on it, but it's really about finding the connection of what is the underlying incentive, what is the underlying motivation, what is the underlying restraint in the investor's mind. How can we lower that barrier just enough to get them to meet the people and to create that connection, to see the potential that you see in things.
Mhm.
It's powerful.
Very. The technology could solve all of our problems tomorrow, but it's not going to do it if,
Yeah.
the people that are forming that partnership, again, nothing's a DIY project,
Yeah.
are not going to, I don't want to say get along, but if they don't have the same priorities, if it's not the right team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you talk about a sports team and building a team, it's got to be the right team. There's
Yeah.
different skill sets for
Yep.
different parts of the operation.
Yeah. How the team interacts is one of the things that I spend a lot of time focusing on. So you're speaking right to the choir on that one. Before I take the bait and go too deep into team structure and coaching and organization, I'd love to. I know for our second kind of point of conversation where you explicitly were focusing on solving for people, there was an example of you saw a struggle, you saw a challenge and a problem, and and am I right that you took it from your role in the university to, all right, it's my turn at bat. I'm gonna solve this myself.
I've never put it that way. I'm going to steal that now.
You got it.
The sports analogy, I should have come up with that. I have years. See, this is what happens when you're too close to something, right?
There you go. Yep.
Yes, you've got it right on the nose. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to work at Florida State University, my alma mater, coming
Mhm.
straight out of law school. Again, there was an internship in there where I explored technology transfer, but I really did fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. Well, I earned it too, right?
Of
I
course.
had a dual position, both the legal office and in the office of research. So again, I had that legal protect the university and
Mhm.
negotiate hat, but I also had the geek out, fun, market this, get this out
Oh,
hat,
cool.
manage the portfolio and don't spend all of our money. Because of that, I had a bird's eye view of a lot of operations I might not have had if I was in one house or the other.
Yep.
And because of that, I would interact sometimes with the same faculty member on two different things, sometimes in the same day. I won't say same day, but like the same week.
Mhm.
Like, here's, the sponsored research agreement where the IP terms are kind of, getting fleshed out still. And
Mhm.
here's this new invention. Let's geek out over. And so things as simple as, and I'm trying not to go too much down like a technical rabbit hole, but university faculty are allowed to consult under what is called their approved outside activities or outside time. And that's because that
Okay.
benefits the reputation of themselves, but also the university. And to me, and I will preach this all day long, is a gateway into the university.
Mm.
However, because it is the faculty's individual effort
Mhm.
outside of the university,
Mhm.
I, as university counsel, could not negotiate their consulting agreement or
Mhm.
represent them, even if the university's interests were, in being
Oh, I
affected
see.
in the agreement.
Yep.
Um, And I had to explain, my client is the university and the board of trustees.
Yep.
And I would watch these same brilliant people that were geeking out and
Mhm.
starting to, buy into this activity as worthwhile, just either not do the consulting. And sometimes it's major corporations
Mhm.
where, like I said, remember, if you just meet this person, things will go to the next level. I mean, of course, you're still going to have a consulting project, see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my guess is at a national laboratory, especially that we had there, the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be pretty impressed because they break world records for fun, like on a regular basis
Yeah.
with large amounts of federal funding. Like someone's already invested in them. Again, that's, part of the story. Someone has invested a lot of dollars into these people. I can almost guarantee you they can solve your problem
Mhm.
probably rather quickly. And that's the industry timeline.
Yep.
So we just kept seeing faculty that just not doing it or unknowingly signing terms that were not favorable to themselves, let alone the university.
Mm.
I also would see in the research foundation, the industry-sponsored research side, the industry was just absolutely asking for, like, in unison, flexible IP terms. And I could talk for hours about jointly developed IP.
Okay.
But the short of it is, I would attend meetings with faculty
Mhm.
and engineers from a very large company. And there would be another meeting and another meeting and another meeting. I wouldn't see innovation.
Uh,
And I had a faculty member say, I think I can solve their problem, but I don't want to tell them because I'll get in trouble with the university if I don't disclose it here first. And so my now co-founders also worked at the university with me, and they had the same, high level view of what industry was
mhm.
doing, what the Mag Lab was doing. And we just said, there's got to be a better way to do this. Um, there's companies saying, like, we can't even get an NDA with you because you won't agree to, jurisdiction outside the state of Florida. Now, being in the legal office, no, we can't waive sovereign immunity. That is a thing. That's
Right.
not someone being annoying or putting red tape on something to put red tape on something.
Right.
I saw both sides, just like my legal brain was trained to do. And I
Yeah.
said, let's brainstorm something that we can do. We had no idea it would probably be a separate entity, but we can accept at MagCorp the jurisdiction in New York, London, you name
Yep.
it. We're negotiable.
Yeah.
If the activity's happening, in Tallahassee, we're gonna ask for Tallahassee. But
Sure.
just like a regular business, we will negotiate it. It's negotiable.
Yep.
And so that's the language industry speaks. Not
Yep.
necessarily one way or the other, but we're gonna talk about it. And each
Yep.
project's different.
Yeah. And you're still in your university role at this point?
Yes, I was. I was
Okay,
still in the
cool.
university role at this point, which actually was very scary. Like, this could be bad. Should I do this? Are you sure you want me to do this? But we were just bouncing ideas, because again, just like talking about faculty, and their entrepreneurial spirit, people were focused on the systems like academia, not necessarily the people.
Yeah.
And so, and of course there's going to be resistance. We were very cognizant. We're not changing the system
Mm.
because
Gotcha.
you can't change it if you're a public university. Most of it you can't change.
Right.
We're building onto it.
Right.
We're taking this. You can't and you shouldn't.
Mhm.
Please don't start.
Yep.
We'll do it. So that was my crazy idea in short. So that way
Yeah.
faculty can do their consulting, which is a gateway to the university.
Yep.
And that way no one had to sit and play, I call it poker, but I have an engineering background and
Sure.
all we want to do is sit at a table and whiteboard and have fun. And it wasn't happening.
Yeah. The obvious question, how did it turn out? What happened next? How and how
It
to
worked.
yeah?
It
A
worked.
and how'd you know
And
it worked?
that's where I can't talk a lot
Okay.
about clients, but there is, and if you Google MagCorp, the public client I can talk about is Philips. We are their partner to develop the next generation of their MRI machines.
Oh, wonderful.
And to circle back a little bit about just selling to people,
Yeah.
at the university, we were giving tours of the Mag Lab to companies and
Yeah.
showing off these giant magnets.
Yeah.
There's a 45 Tesla magnet there that's about the size of a school bus, and now they have a 32 Tesla superconducting magnet that's about the size of this microphone. And they did that in 25 years. So when we bet on people, I mean it. We bet on the
Yeah.
person that builds a 45 Tesla magnet to be able
Yeah.
to solve the problems of industry because we had a company, and it's not Apple, but that said, I need the 10 tiny magnets, out of this device of mine now.
Yep.
And we either have to buy from China or we have to source them somewhere else or recycle them in a different way because we're just pulling them out by hand. And it's like, we were showing machines and I didn't realize it. But then we said, okay, come talk to the person that winds the magnets. And they
Mhm.
would geek out, geek out.
Yep.
And I've still had, even later in my career, some folks that are new to this, they're excited about the visit, but they don't know what to do. They haven't, made a sale
Sure.
like that to industry before, right? They've obviously sold themselves to the university and publications and their peers. But someone did ask me, how do I know if it's going well? If you're geeking out, it's going well.
Yes.
And it could be another no for now. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have the funds for this now, but I'm going to go to my next meeting and next quarter, I'll let you know if we have funds for this because
Yeah.
that's, how industry works. And
Yep.
so yes, it's been successful.
That's fantastic. I think this is as good a time as any to kind of give a pitch. You've described the path to MagCorp. What does MagCorp do? What do you want people who haven't heard of you to know that you can do for them?
If you have a pain point, um, and you're learning about magnetism, we will help. And I say it, I don't mean to be
Nope,
facetious.
nope.
Again, I study material science and engineering.
Yeah.
I think we spent about a week on magnetism. Here's the types of magnetic materials. Here's a hysteresis loop. Okay, on to the next thing.
Yep.
And I say this all the time, and everybody's like, "You're right." I mean, there's actual magnetic engineers. You can design a magnetic circuit, right? Right hand rule. That's the other thing you learn. I think that's the third thing you learn when you're
Okay.
done.
Yeah, political science major here, so you're
Well, if you have an electric current, you have a magnetic field, and vice versa. So
okay.
you can actually basically make magic happen with
Yeah.
magnetic circuits. And if that's something that, your engineers aren't comfortable with, a lot of our clients are not, and especially in the beginning, a lot of them were in FDA,
Yeah.
and the FDA consultant was like, magnets, flux, huh?
Mhm.
Pacemakers? I think that's bad." And that's what I would like folks to know. If it's anything magnetic, permanent magnets, resistive magnets, superconducting, hybrid,
Yeah.
call us.
Yep. And you connect with the university experts who spend way more than 10 minutes, uh, on it for that. I love it.
Yes.
Cool. Throughout all of these, there's been that entrepreneurial spirit. We've said it explicitly, but it's been incredibly implicit in everything that you've talked about. See a problem, solve a problem. Um, how did that intersect in what may have been uh, the platonic ideal of all of these things when you got to San Jose State?
San Jose State, that was so hard for me to decide. I mean, I knew I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It was just, I had started this company, and thank goodness my co-founders were understanding. They said, "We still need the legal expertise."
Hmm.
San Jose State University said, "No, we like your legal expertise. We want you to keep active in it." And,
Yeah.
it's Silicon Valley. Everybody's got more than one thing going. I mean, they didn't
Sure.
even blink. They're like, "No, we want you to keep, just make sure there's no business development," right? I'm going on a conflict of interest spiel. You can
Of
stop me
course.
anytime.
Uh,
But obviously, I was tasked with bringing industry, to partner with SJSU, San
yep.
Jose State University. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to conflict with MagCorp, but if I was just, doing legal work for MagCorp, they had no problem with that. I didn't have a legal hat in San Jose State University. I wasn't even barred in California.
Cool.
So I got to basically just create and operate. They said, "Come start a new office of innovation and build this ecosystem. We have a vision for it, but this is going to be yours.
Yeah.
And you're gonna hire out a team." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I can do that." I just did it. And I did, to be honest with you, miss the kinetics of the university. That's
Sure.
what they are. They're not just buildings, they're people.
Yeah.
They're groups of the smartest people gathering to exchange ideas. And so I did it. I made the jump, went all the way across the country, no regrets. Um, I do miss my team a lot, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Tell me a little more because you've said that this is the favorite story that you like to tell around decision
This is
making.
the favorite okay, this is one of my favorite stories that I can tell.
Yeah.
So I get there,
Yeah.
in June 2022, and we had laid out, maybe not the groundwork, but the overall goals, right?
Yep.
And then I think I was in a meeting and, "Well, you're gonna launch this incubator in the fall." Well, okay, the fall is, about a month and a half away, but the university was very, very good. The leadership was very good about introducing me to recent graduates that had products on the marketplace, and SPSU is a primarily undergraduate institution, so
Hmm.
what I've been talking about all the way up until this point in my career has been typically faculty focused.
Gotcha.
Because they bring in the resources, and so the resources go back to them.
Sure.
They bring in the research dollars, and those will go back into protecting the IP that comes out of that research.
Sure.
SJSU was focused on students. That was exciting, but that was nerve-wracking to me.
Yeah.
At this point in my career, I had a sense of the pain points of faculty and industry at that point, right? I had hopefully solved some of those, but students in 2022, I'm not even going to try or pretend. Michael Mash Ashley, we had a lot of Michaels in the office, he was Mash, comes on from the College of Business, the Lucas College of Business, to take this on. I'm like, great. He's tapped into students
Hmm.
of today and what they do. And so we would talk, with these recent graduates. And one of them even had a product that SJSU bought, a parking app. Um, We all know how much you need those a large
Absolutely.
urban campus in particular. So I mean, the university was vetting these
Yeah.
people and these products already. And
Yeah.
you know, we found that during COVID, a lot of these students coded.
Yep.
If COVID happened when I was 18 to 22, I'd probably be playing video games. I'm going to be honest. I just have to be
Yeah.
honest, right?
Oh, yeah.
And no, these folks just could not stop creating, and that's what I bet on. That's what we bet on.
That's
And
awesome.
so I love telling the story because this is the first non-legal job, right,
Sure.
responsibility I had. I still had MagCorp. I didn't stop practicing,
Yep.
like some people think. Definitely didn't stop practicing.
Yep.
And because of that, though,
Yeah.
when MASH says, I want to because we had a short timeline,
Yep.
the launch event's going to be basically the customer discovery. And I'm thrilled, right? The entrepreneur in me is loving this. This is
Yep.
great. Like we thought maybe 30 people would show up.
Yeah.
Turns out 100 people show up in person and another 200. Well, I think 100 online, but 300 people RSVP'd. And we were like, oh.
Wow.
So the MASH, and we have these awesome whiteboarding sessions, right?
Mhm.
That's my favorite part of being a leader is
Yeah.
that I get to host these safe spaces. And I think it's good for professional development. You have to learn how to professionally
Yep.
have fun
Yep.
and, say what needs to be said, but professionally.
Yep.
But this is just more of a fun, one of the first whiteboarding meetings we had. And we came up with some crazy stuff
I
like
do.
over the years, right? But this is the first startup like whiteboarding session. What does an incubator look like? What do we want? We knew it wasn't going to be, we weren't going to be landlords to undergraduate tenants. That's not feasible. That's
Mhm.
not going to benefit anyone. And so Mash says, what I'm going to do is I want a piece of paper on every chair. And now we're looking at like over 100 chairs. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. We're going to have everyone write their hopes and dreams and wishes for what they want to get out of this incubator. I mean, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And then he said what he wanted to do next. He said they're going to fold them into paper planes. And for those of you at home, if you want to look at SpartUp, we worked with Marcom to come up with this beautiful logo of a paper plane because it shows basically the prototype of an early idea.
Yeah.
Covers both the arts and sciences, but also each plane is going to be different, right? You
Yeah.
tell 3 different people to make a paper plane and get 3 different paper planes.
Yeah.
They'll function differently. They all look different. And he said, we're going to toss them around the room. And I'm like, no, and maybe it's because I was new versus an attorney, but my brain thinks in like
Yeah.
visuals and movie quotes. That's just
Yeah.
how it works. So I'm hearing, you'll shoot your eye out, you'll shoot your eye out. And as I'm going through the film in my head, I mean, the people that said Ralphie would shoot his eye out in A Christmas Story were right. They weren't wrong. Ralphie shot his eye out. So
Yep.
I'm just, I'm in that cascade of what's the worst that could happen. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh, here's this new person, Florida woman, right?
Mm.
That we've hired for her legal expertise. And we've already got a freshman, in the, emergency room, holding their eye. And I just laugh because, there's always that give and take,
Yep.
that balance of, yes and no to your team, right?
Yeah.
This is brand new, right? This is
Yeah.
the first time I'm kind of like, well, we're not going to throw the paper planes.
Yeah.
But then we negotiate, right?
Yep.
Well, why don't we just hold them up and then just gently toss them? Okay, all right. We'll hold them up and we'll gently toss them. But we're all facing the board. We're all facing the stage and throwing them toward the stage. So if it hits someone, it hits someone in the back of the head. I
There
said,
you
that's
go.
it.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
But I think, I wanted to show my team. I don't know if I did this on purpose at the time, but like,
Yeah.
that's just who I am. Right.
Yeah.
But I think it showed them. Like, she's not gonna say no to things, like, unreasonably, right?
Right.
But she's also not gonna let us really cause a lot of ruckus and trouble
Yep.
either.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna speak for my team, but I would like to think, right, that's, but leadership, it's about that give and take.
Yep.
And I say let them play, but, there's rules.
Yeah.
And I actually had a mentor when I was at FSU, Betty Southard, who told me, you take a vehicle out on the road every day, the vehicle has brakes. You don't just accelerate as hard as fast as you go. There's laws. You stop. It is for your own good and your own safety. And that actually also taught me how to, negotiate or deliver what could be bad news.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a stop sign. No,
Yeah.
it's not a take your driver's license away. No.
Right. Did you now? And I watched you and Mash work together. Did you all kind of organically or explicitly come to the roles of push and appropriate break? And
Oh,
how
he'll
did?
tell you that all day. He'll tell you that all day. I won't put words in his mouth, but he
Okay.
did. He did say some words at my going away party that he was grateful that I said, let's just try it. And obviously there were blue stop signs.
Yeah.
we're trying it and we'll grow a block.
Yep.
And that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a soft launch that, customer discovery,
Yep.
milestones, and keep going from there. And he was always right. It was very hard to say no to him.
Yeah.
Well, the 1 or 2 times I think I said no to him, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, it's just we just didn't have the funds, but he would
Yeah.
always have another idea that I could go to leadership with
Yep.
or, a donor with,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. Investors want to see, rarely will feel excited about a single entrepreneur. They want to see a partnership, at least a co-founder pair, one to show that that you can actually work with someone else, at least one other person. But additionally, because that dynamic needs to be there. I love the car metaphor. It has a brake and an accelerator. Um, and it's not because one is always going to be right or predominantly right. It's the friction there is where some of the great ideas come from. Like you just said, Match would always have a backup thing or another idea, or reacting to a possible constraint is how the better idea forms, and gets in through that early testing while pushing out to get to customers as fast as possible.
No, it is, and we had to move fast with SpartUp.
Yeah,
And to come back to the paper plane story, we sat and read over 100 paper planes. That was a good team bonding experience too, because we were all new to this.
I bet.
And Matt just said it himself, it wasn't about money. We really kind of thought they would say, "Can you connect me to investors?" Because a
Yeah,
lot of them were far along
yeah,
and had users.
yep,
Maybe not revenue, but had users.
yep,
And they said, "I want to meet other students,
yeah,
or I want to take my coding skills and see if I can help an entrepreneur, to see if I can do it and to see
yep,
if I like entrepreneurship,
yeah,
and vice versa. Like, I have
yeah,
an idea, but I don't know how to code it."
yeah,
And then it evolved into, I need mentorship. In mentorship from someone who likes me. That came out in our EDA town hall meetings.
hmm,
And the SJSU 10 out of 10 would bet on again. Talking about betting on people. They
yeah,
wanted to change the world in only the ways they could.
love it. One of the kind of consistent themes that I'm also hearing through all this is an understanding and an emphasis on growth individually and organizationally, and you just said it, wanting to change the world. Where do you think you got that drive from, that primacy of growing people, growing yourself, growing the organizations into new things?
Oh, I always say I'm lucky. This one I
Sure.
was lucky. I
Okay.
had learned a lot of things, don't get me wrong. I'm getting better at,
Yeah.
marketing myself and being nice to myself, right? But I was lucky. This one I hit the lottery. When I was in law school at Florida State,
Hmm.
I did approach the tech transfer office for
Hmm.
the intern position
Hmm.
without knowing who was actually there. So there's a gentleman by the name of Jack Sams,
Okay.
who's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he was at the end of his career. And they knew that he had so much knowledge. And you can Google him, Jack Sams. He's in some documentaries
Wow.
out of Silicon Valley, if you catch my drift.
Yep.
He was an IBM executive that was tasked with creating the first OS for the PC, like the PC,
Okay.
and had the wherewithal to know he couldn't do it,
Yep.
and went and found Bill Gates, an 18-year-old Bill Gates.
Wow.
And they said, "He's irreplaceable. We're looking for someone to just be a sponge
Hmm.
to absorb all of his knowledge,
Wow.
all of it.
Yeah.
And since we know you want to be a lawyer, you need to go talk to, the research attorney, the general counsel, and, have fun." But my first position was
Wow.
learn everything from Jack Sams, and I couldn't put it all down in a library, right? I couldn't put it on a server. I got very lucky, but I took that with me.
Yeah.
In MagCorp, I was more of a project manager in the
Sure.
beginning, working with the faculty I worked with.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't developing them, right? I didn't have to motivate them or inspire them or get their buy-in, right?
Hmm.
SJSU, this is a new point in my career. I'm learning to
Yeah.
do that, but I took from my mentors, right?
Yeah.
And would take my staff out to lunch. What are your goals professionally? Um, what do you want to do? I mean, a lot of folks don't necessarily start in universities,
Hmm.
period. And since this was a new operation, I had a lot of, of folks that had either just started their careers or they were just working at a university for the first time. So
Not at all.
I wanted to just basically emulate my mentors and let them do things and shadow them.
Mhm.
And then when I clearly know they are capable, and it was faster than I thought,
Yeah.
of course, which is perfect, because I had to go build something else usually. The first 2 years was build the incubator, SBDC, keep going on tech transfer industry research alliances.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I took with me is just to let them do it. I'm not holding their hand, but I'm there.
Yep.
But then they're free. I had a lot of freedom, and I knew that even early when I was at FSU, and you know, always wanted to pay them back for that. I hope, MagCorp did that. But that meant a lot to me, and so I'm happy to pay it forward. And just here's all the knowledge that I can't talk about.
Yep.
Just take it. I would just have a lot of, like I said, lunches and coffees where I just talk about difficult things or just, what I've seen at universities in general. They're just a different system.
Yeah.
And how, don't worry if someone, asks you to do something like this, they probably aren't resourced very well either. I said, but it's a large, like any large organization, you're going to want to have, relationships and partners across because you're going to need someone one day too.
Yeah. Luck, growth, sharing.
That's where we got accelerated serendipity, our original tagline for the SpartUp Incubator. And that
Oh.
shout out goes to Barbara Ransom
Oh, I love that one.
from the NSF, who was visiting as a program officer. And we just took her on a little tour of the SpartUp Incubator. And she's like, you should use accelerating serendipity. Like, can we use that? Do we have your permission? She's like, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yep. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
If you keep putting, that's what I tell everyone, whether it's an entrepreneur or a member of my team, keep going. Keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because tech transfer is a lot like entrepreneurship. No one thinks you're doing enough. Oh, you didn't talk to this person over here? Well, no, I'm one person. And I've talked to 3 or 4 people today.
Yeah.
I'll get to them later, right?
Yep.
But yes, it's that never enough. And I try to ease that as much as possible. My staff, yes, you are enough. And here's the goals. But next year's goals are going to be bigger because that growth mindset
Yeah.
is the success mindset.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much for going deep on all those and indulging the extra questions as well. You ready for our little fun lightning round to wrap it up?
Perfect.
Yes. Abby, what was your first job?
My first job, a surprise to no one, was at the Fort Lauderdale Museum of Discovery and Science doing science demonstrations on the floor. And then I did
Cool.
spend a summer in the IMAX theater.
Oh, nice.
And I have quite a few movies committed to memory
I bet.
that I probably don't need to see again. But I was an IMAX nerd too.
I get it. We've enjoyed the IMAX and the Tech Interactive here in San Jose.
Yes.
It's been great. We've talked a lot about some really great leadership skills and perspectives, but what's one leadership skill that you wish you'd learned a little earlier in your career?
Being a mentor.
Mm.
Someone told me that I'm at the stage of my career where you should be both a mentor and a mentee. And I never thought of it that way. I mean, I had even had leadership training, you name it. Not that I was, inadequate, but I just never thought of it that way. No one presented it to me that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You think of one or the other, or maybe that was just my brain.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
But basically, you're doing it wrong if at a certain point you're not both.
Yeah.
And that period of time is probably going to be significantly long, right? So I was so busy building things, a startup, new innovation office, that I didn't think about it. And when I started thinking about it, everybody's like, where have you been? You have so much. And then there was also let's be honest, there's not a lot of stories I can get specific on starting as a lawyer, but just like coming on this podcast, I've gotten much better at being general.
I love it. What's the biggest myth about leadership that you've heard?
I have heard that it's lonely at the top. I think there's some truth to that. And I don't want to say top like it's something, I wasn't running a university by any stretch. But I think you just have to reframe it. That your network, well, my mentors from Florida State are still my mentors, right?
Yeah.
And they're leaders, and now they mentor me on leadership. But, I have to expand that to other folks. You don't necessarily go to the happy hour with your staff anymore, especially if you came from that staff and,
Sure.
are still there. Co-founders can always go on a happy hour together for obvious reasons, right? But not necessarily, maybe early employees, you're probably still doing it. But you need your own safe space to have those conversations about leadership and just to pass ideas around each other. So it's not lonely. But then when you go, to your next staff meeting the next morning, you're like, oh, I can't, hang out with them. Obviously, I will take them out for pizza after we crushed an event or something, but
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I talk with a lot of leaders about kind of the dynamics of that and what has to be intentional around relieving the perception or experience of loneliness at the top, and how you still find that connection. All right, what's the worst professional advice you've ever received?
The worst professional advice I've ever received. I mean, I threw it in the garbage as soon as I heard it.
Well, that's good to hear.
If the other party isn't steaming mad at you, then you didn't get the best deal for your client.
Ugh, yeah, that's terrible advice. All right, final one. Not about leadership or business, but what's a great media recommendation for our listeners? Books, podcasts, shows, movies, anything that you're liking these days?
Wow. Well, I spent this past weekend playing MLB The Show 26. It was early access. I think it was released yesterday.
Okay,
Yes. So I'm a huge baseball fan, huge
nice,
video game fan.
nice.
I get to turn my brain off. I don't think I'm working, but it's kind of the same.
I love it. All right. Abby, thank you so much for indulging in the lightning round. For everyone, as a reminder, Abby Queale is a patent attorney and compliance officer who co-founded MagCorp, a magnet technology company. Before MagCorp, she served as the director of innovation at San José State University. We'll have this linked in our show notes, but where can people find you, and what else do you want our listeners to check out?
You can find me on LinkedIn, and you can check out our website at magneticscorp.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Abby. And follow, like, and subscribe to Bet on People on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you want to learn more about how we think about leadership here at UTA, visit uta.io/executive coaching. I'm Keegan Evans, and this is Bet on People.